Hello everyone, Nougat here, and welcome to another match of Littlewargame. Today I am bringing you a game that was played on Jade, Wadi, between ArcherGuy playing with the red pieces on the top left corner of the map, versus Decagon, or Decagon, Decagon, I don't know why I called him that, playing the blue pieces in the bottom right corner. These are two players that are... I don't think I've ever covered Decagon on my channel before, so I'm very excited to see how these players play. And then I believe ArcherGuy. I believe we've had a review of him before, just not entirely familiar. It may have been a while since we've had a replay of ArcherGuy play. It's going for a pretty standard opening with this Rax. And then his opponent is also going for a Rax opening. So we both see, that both of these players are going for a very similar opening. The very cool thing about this replay in particular is that it's played on Jade Wadi. Jade Wadi is one of the maps that is currently in the ranked map pool, and it is a very large map. It's got a lot of bases that you can take. There's a lot of basically open area, so there's a lot of room for flanking, a lot of room for maneuvering. Obviously there's a lot of high ground vision that's available, and we even see 3 levels of vision, or 3 levels of height on this map, this being the very lowest, the next highest being this platform here, and then we even see these platforms on top of platforms, which is very nice, and it'll probably be very interesting to see. We do see that ArcherGuy is going for a archer opening. I believe this opening basically requires you to build 2 or 3 archers, and then you can get the second base. Looks like Archer is just going to go for those 2 archers, and then Decagon looks like he is going for a Raider all-in. So he's building 2 barracks on his side of the map, and once this barracks finishes, he should be building raiders and then sending them to the other side of the map. It's very hard to stop this all in if you're not aware of it coming. Archer is sending units around the map to basically scout out to see if his opponent has any proxies. Obviously, he doesn't have any proxies as his 2 buildings are inside of his base, but he is still going for this aggressive build. Typically 3 archers is enough to repel 1 raider, but obviously as the raider count grows with these raiders in production, the harder it'll be for these archers to stop this. So Decagon is obviously fully committed, and Archer definitely has the advantage right now with being able to do that initial damage. Decagon is basically forced to kind of scout around, see what his opponent is going for with this first raider, and then I'm very curious to see how he responds. He currently is still producing more and more raiders. He definitely needs to group up as many raiders as he can, but ArcherGuy currently has a lot of units on his side of the map and is probably able to deflect a lot of this aggression that's coming in. We basically just see some stabilizing. ArcherGuy constantly producing more units, and then we even have a house being produced so that he can continue to produce out of that 1 barracks. We might see an additional barracks here, and we do. So very safe play from ArcherGuy at this point. So it looks like Decagon has decided to stop building raiders, and now he goes for his second base. Obviously he is pretty far behind, as his opponent has had his second base up and is currently mining from there. We do see that these raiders are currently I guess trying to clear a path with this building so that they can maybe move to the other side of the map. But ArcherGuy is basically he's kind of vulnerable here. He sent all of his archers to the other side of the map, and Decagon, obviously he's about to find this out with these archers approaching his second base. He's going to need to respond by bringing these raiders back home, probably picking off some reinforcements and doing some damage to these archers. And as we can see, there's only one archer at home to basically defend against this. We do see that Decagon is able to pick off some of these reinforcements, so there's an archer that's gone. And we also need to see that Decagon really needs to finish his second base. I'm very sure that ArcherGuy is currently ahead in terms of income, mining about 100 more resources at this point. Obviously, it looks like Archer has lost some units, but he's doing a good job of microing so that he can do some damage to these raiders. He definitely, Decagon definitely needs to make sure that he's selecting his targets very decisively so that he can kill all of these archers however he needs to. All right, very nice. So with those 6 archers getting picked off, essentially, we do see that the total income has basically equalized. That being that ArcherGuy has mined more, but he's also lost more resources. So they're essentially at the same economy as of this moment. We do need to see that more workers are being produced, and we actually see that a worker pool is being sent to the second base. Decagon is only 1 worker behind at this point, which is fantastic to see. We see that ArcherGuy is going for 4 barracks, so a total of 4 barracks. He's building these 2. 4 barracks is usually the maximum amount of consistent production you can have on 2 bases, which means that if you're on 4 barracks, you pretty much can't afford to buy another castle, as that constant barrack production will keep your income too low. We do see that both of ArcherGuy's bases have 10 workers, which is the ideal amount you want. So that's fantastic to see. And then we also see that Decagon, despite being very aggressive with his opening, is starting to get a 3rd base here, and that's gonna put Decagon ahead in the future. Obviously, at this point, it feels like the roles of ArcherGuy and Decagon have kind of reversed, because now Decagon is being a little bit greedy in terms of his expansion, and ArcherGuy is now being aggressive with staying on 2 bases, and now he's pushing onto the other side of the map. Let's take a look at what Decagon has at home to see if he could potentially defend against this. How many archers is this? This is probably around 12. It looks like 12 archers versus 6 archers and a couple of raiders, 5 raiders. So I'm very curious to see who gets ahead on this. Obviously, archers are fantastic at putting all of their damage on 1 unit and almost one-shotting a unit, especially if you have multiple archers. ArcherGuy was not able to scout his opponent's 3rd base, unfortunately, and instead he probably thought the fact that this army at home was he probably deduced that this army at home was big enough to the point where Decagon couldn't have afforded a 3rd base. So now ArcherGuy is trying to get ahead by getting his own 3rd base, but he doesn't know that his opponent already has a 3rd base at home. We do see that these castles are producing workers and currently sending them to the 2nd base. It's a little bit oversaturated. Would love to have these rally to the 3rd base and pulling some workers, obviously. We see that ArcherGuy was able to move on the other side of the map and is starting to accumulate his forces at the 2nd base here. Let's take a look at production. We also see that Decagon is starting to go for these upgrades. +1 range is on the way, and probably +1 attack upgrade is on the way as well. We see that these archers are getting aggressive. Decagon is forced to pull workers. I would probably like to see Decagon go in for the attack and use these workers to also attack these archers. But it looks like Decagon is basically forced to kind of retreat in this situation and abandon his second base. Obviously, ArcherGuy isn't aware of this third base, but he is trying to go for the kill now, especially as he moves down this ramp. So Decagon does need to respond to this. He definitely needs to pull workers. I probably would have wanted to see him pull workers earlier, especially when this army was a little bit closer. And unfortunately, these upgrades are just not going to come into play. He decides to go for Shroud instead of +1 range, which is very beneficial in this case because Shroud is going to basically blind a lot of these archers. But he needs to commit to a fight, and he needs to do it soon so that he doesn't take too much damage. But here's the thing, Decagon has a very small army compared to the army that ArcherGuy has, and ArcherGuy was able to win this game with this very strong, committed mass archer push, and he was not able to defend against that, unfortunately. Obviously, we see that at the end of the game, Decagon had a lot of resources in the bank, so did ArcherGuy, but if we would have seen more of those resources in units, that probably would have gone a little bit better for him. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that game. Leave a like, give a comment about what you thought about it, and please subscribe if you're new. I really enjoy making these videos, and I love having this channel grow as well. So I'll see you guys in the next game.